good morning, everyone assembled. We are going to be starting off the webinar. Kshitij, if you could just allow me screen sharing privileges.
Sure.
Yeah. As Kshitij has given an introduction, we are hosting this webinar jointly with Automation Anywhere to enable all organizations assembled here to respond better to the crisis that we are currently facing. With me today, I have Mr. Sumit Pathak, who is Digital Workforce Evangelist at Automation Anywhere. I have Ms. Sanghamitra Burman, who is RPA Practice Head in JKT, who will be joining us for the QA session. And of course, myself, I'm Delivery Manager at JKT for the last 2 years. So without further ado, let's get started. So the agenda for the webinar would be the immediate impact that COVID-19 has brought upon us and how automation could help. We would then move into a session wherein Sumit would give his perspective from Automation Anywhere as to how they are helping organizations respond to these changes. And lastly, it would be followed by a QA. First of all, a brief introduction about JKT. So we are part of the larger JK group of companies. As you all know, JK Group is into manufacturing, oil and gas, and a lot of several business domains, of which the technology entity is JK Technosoft. So we are over 25 years in operations. We have presence in 4 countries, and we have 3 offshore delivery centers. We are based out of Noida, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. And we work in several ERP systems. We've been providing services and support there, but we've also moved into new age technologies like automation, analytics in the last few years, because that is where we had that an understanding of the digital is absolutely essential to make businesses more resilient and more flexible to the changing business scenario. So let's have a look at what COVID-19 has inflicted on us. So if you look at this slide, you can see there are several points which are listed, which have actually led to restrictive work environments. We are seeing that people are not able to join their offices. Most of us are having to work from home. We have limited manual operations. In-person interactions have reduced, which are leading to difficulties in coordination. So say a task of user onboarding, a new employee onboarding, which might be involving several teams across, say, the HR, the admin, the IT, and several other application teams, which could have been done, which is now normally done in a more interactive manner. In-person interactions matter. How do we deal with that? How do we ensure a seamless virtual onboarding? So that is where probably automation could help. And we also understand that businesses worldwide are facing unprecedented challenges in operations. The way people are consuming products and services has changed. The way operations have to be managed have changed. And that is where we feel that it is automation could be something which allows organizations respond to the changes, be flexible in operations, and ensure a more seamless customer experience. If you're looking at how automation has evolved over the years, so what we had previously is discrete automation, wherein we were looking at automation in silos. So probably you had automation in SAP, you had automation in some other tools, but it was all restricted within the scope of the tool itself. What we are now looking at is more of an end-to-end automation, right? So we introduce the concept of automation in, say, a business domain such as finance or HR, right? And evangelize it. We see how automation really works, how it has brought benefits to that specific area. And as people get more comfortable within the organization with the concept of automation, we expand it to other business units. And that is where the concept or the idea of automation spreads, right? And on top of it, we add elements of cognitive. So most automation tools today have we can invoke, say, a machine learning code from an Automation Anywhere program. So that is where adding elements of cognitive ML analytics helps make the solution more intuitive, more capable of making decisions on its own instead of just relying on programmed logic. And that is where adding on sophisticated concepts of AI ML will truly lead to the creation of a digital workforce. Now let's have a look at some of the benefits of automation and how these could align to the current challenges that we are facing right now, right? So apart from the obvious advantages of, say, accuracy, so a robot, a software bot, if it is working on, say, any process, it is a near 100% accuracy level that you can expect from it. So you are looking at reduced errors, and you are also looking at increased efficiency, because a bot would typically take at least 60 to 70% less time than a human worker to do. Right? So these are the two obvious advantages. But apart from that, there are also several other benefits which could be derived from automation. So what you're looking at is increased adaptability and scalability. So right now, we are facing uncertain times, right? Like I said before, the way people are consuming has changed. The pattern, the demand patterns have changed and are unpredictable. We do not know which business area might need a closer focus in the in the near future. So it becomes difficult to realign our workforce from one business unit to another, because that would involve a level of training, that would involve some time and effort. And as we know, we do not have that time, right? So how software automation could help is bots, once you have coded the program or the logic out and you have laid down the business rules, bots could actually help. You could repurpose bots, which may say working in a finance function, into, say, a reporting function, if you foresee the business need for reporting to rise in the coming days. So it becomes a lot more flexible, it becomes a lot more scalable. So if you had 5 bots working on a particular business process, and you foresee that, okay, there would be an immediate increase in demand, you would you would be able to immediately deploy more bots to that same process. So the ability to respond to changes, to be more flexible, increases, right? So that is where automation could help. So you would see a couple of polling questions on your screen, and we would encourage you to respond to that, because that would also help us direct our conversation better. Let's have a look at a few other advantages. So you're looking at 24/7 operations also. So because of the reduced bandwidth of employees, we might look at underutilization of capacity. So that is where automation could also help, because software bots would work 24/7, 365 days a year, right? And on top of that, you have an opportunity to add layers of analytics. You derive meaning or insights from your business processes. You could understand which are the particular workflows which need more attention, which are inefficient, and which really would need some amount of modification to make it more efficient.
Aaron, just speak closer to the mic because I'm getting some response that your voice is still feeble. Just request you to just
Sure,
speak closer to the mic. Okay,
sure.
thanks.
So that is where we are at right now. So if you look at it holistically, these are some features that automation has, which could be very well aligned to the way you could respond to this situation. Now, we know that RPA is a concept which is technology agnostic. You could have automated processes running over SAP. You could have automated processes running over Microsoft applications, Oracle, be it anything. But you could, the concept of automation is also industry agnostic in that, and that is where what we are trying to show in this slide is that it finds applicability across sectors. So you're looking at finance and accounting functions, business processes like procure to pay, order to cash, any kind of reporting, any forecasting, that manual forecasting that is currently being done. So you find applicability of RPA there. You find applicability of RPA in your HR function. So you're looking at, say, payroll, you're looking at employee onboarding, right? So several sectors, several domains, and several business units could benefit from RPA. And the times that we are facing right now, I'm sure that you guys would all recognize opportunities for automation or opportunities wherein your business is facing a challenge that you could relate to from this slide. That is where JKT also has pre-built solutions which would act as a tune and deploy solution. So you probably tweak it to your business process and then get it implemented or fast track to production. So now let's move on to how the end-to-end automation cycle looks like. Right? So we are looking at three distinct phases: the assess, the implement, and the support, right? And in the assess phase, you're looking at 5 sub-phases wherein you see these are elicit, filter, analyze, quantify, and prioritize, right? So we have different methodologies that could be applied across each of these subphases that allow you a more holistic and that enable you across your automation journey, right? So if you're looking at the, say, elicit phase, you could have discovery workshops with functional teams which help you identify those processes. A lot of places that we've seen is RP is a new concept in your organization and you need to build an awareness. You need to let people know what the concept of automation is, and that would help you arrive at some long listed automation candidates that could help you arrive at, okay, these are few processes which are repetitive, which are taking up a lot of time, and you could actually look at creating a long list. Next, you move on to the filter phase, wherein you perform a feasibility analysis. So what happens is we have several criteria through which we filter out unsuitable candidates for automation. So we cannot automate, say, handwritten extraction of data from handwritten documents. So there are several things that we need to understand uh, and which allow you to derive only those candidates that are suitable for automation. So you get a short list of automation candidates, right? And then you move on to the analyze, the prioritize phase, wherein you actually are looking at, prioritizing your processes based on alignment to your specific business priorities. So you could have several business priorities. You could saving manual hours could be one priority. Improving quality through error reduction could be another priority. So what we help you do is we help you prioritize each of these shortlisted candidates across your business goals, and that helps you have a sequence of candidates for automation, right? So you get your final automation pipeline. You next move on to the analyze phase, wherein you perform a complexity analysis. We understand the number of information silos that your process is involved in. We understand the the number of users involved or the number of steps involved, right? And based on that, we help categorize those processes into a low, medium, or complex process. And that allows us also to understand which processes would take more time to automate and which would be quick gains, right? And lastly, we help you quantify, wherein we also look at the business case, right? The motive behind automating a project. So what we help you do is we help you build a case around it, and how automating that particular process would help in gains for your organization. So this becomes the assess phase. So once we are done with the assess, we move on to the implement, wherein we are looking at the design, develop, deploy, and deliver. So what we are looking at here in the design is tech architecture review. We are looking at, say, verification against our own design review tools. We then move on to, say, the develop phase, which is essentially the build and test phase, wherein we have solution accelerators. We have reusable components or modularized code which help you fast track deployment. So what activities like extracting data from, say, a table, activities like, say, logging into your application. So these are some repetitive activities which we've created modules and which can be very easily, which can be used to fast track development times, right? Say, and next we move on to the deployment phase, wherein you are looking at, say, creating deployment plans. We are looking at creating, say, backup and recovery plans, right? We are also looking at one other very important thing. We want to monitor and we want to understand the kind of performance metrics that the automated process is generating post deployment, because that would actually help you understand the value of the automation, right? So, and lastly, we are moving on to the support phase, wherein we are looking at monitor, manage, and maintain, which essentially means ensuring steady state support, any kind of new release management, and scheduling tasks. So we also have accelerators that help you understand the bot utilization percentages, right? So we help you understand how well your bots are performing, whether they are being utilized fully, and how you can or what steps you can do or you can take to ensure that your bots are utilized to their maximum extent, right? So this is the overall automation lifecycle that we enable our customers to traverse and to gain benefits out of. And that this is essential because unless we are looking at a holistic center of excellence led approach, it becomes difficult to to see benefits. You might be having one idea of automation and the expectations don't match. So it's essential that we create a framework around it and then proceed with the automation, right? So moving on, we want to show you just a couple of case studies that we've done for our customers to help you understand what kind of benefits automation could bring. So the first one is about a global FMCG. We've been working with this client for over 2 years now, and we've automated quite a lot of use cases, but the one we are focusing on is reporting. So this client actually is a global behemoth, and the kind of reports that they need to generate on a weekly or even a daily basis is massive. And we were looking at 17 plus member team whose only job was to extract data from 13 different systems. So it was a varied system landscape, technological landscape, and application of business rules, application of pivots, filters, and whatnot. So it was all time consuming. And when you're dealing with a lot of data, Excel tends to hang. So you're also looking at those kind of delays, right? So automating this process of reporting has actually brought about a lot of benefits, wherein you're seeing benefits of time savings, you're seeing benefits of cost savings, right? And all of this manual bandwidth can be released for more value-added activities. So you are not looking at, say, a mundane task wherein people are just coming in and generating reports all day long. And as you can see, over the last couple of years, over 500 reports and 500 software bots have been successfully automated, and we are in the process of doing more. And this is another point which I want to stress on is how automation can help in this stressful time, wherein you're looking to optimize your efficiency. You want a higher output, right? So all these steps incrementally will help us gain again a better understanding and a better grip on the situation. And the second one is about a manufacturing company. So this was in inventory management, wherein manually forecasting models were being applied, and also determining the shortest possible routes for delivery of, say, free stock from to your depots. That was also being done manually and intuitively, and that was actually leading to a lot of errors. So what we enabled them to do is we actually automated not only the forecasting part of it, but we also through the use of, say, invoking a Google API, map API, we were able to find the shortest distances, and that has actually improved the accuracy and reduced the time to deliver stock. So this is another a very important area wherein we've seen business benefits getting created out of automation, and something which you may want to think about. So this brings me to the end of my part of the presentation, and I would pass it over to Kshitij now. I think there will be a few polling questions for you, post which Sumit will take over. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Arun. Right. So as Arun mentioned, what we'll do, we'll go to the second round of the presentation that will be run by Mr. Sumit from Automation Anywhere. Right. So we have also posted another round of polling questions to just to understand how basically all of you are there in the automation journey. So we'll mainly request you to please respond to this question so that we know and help you and guide and make this more meaningful conversation. And also request you to please post the questions in the Q&A sections so we can take it right away. Sumit, over to you.
Thank you, Kshitij. Let me just share the content. 1 second. Can you please confirm you're able to see my slides?
Yes, Sumit, we can.
That's great. So, good presentation, Aaron. Fantastic. And I think I'll be taking reference from your presentation as I go through in my session. So, first of all, good morning, all. And really appreciate that your time that you're here with us. And I hope that in this 1 hour, we'll be able to provide you with enough information and you can take some value out of this presentation. A quick introduction. My name is Sumit. I'm Sumit Pathak. I'm digital evangelist for Automation Anywhere. Just a bit of a background. It's been 9 months since I've joined Automation Anywhere. And prior to that, I was working in the banking sector predominantly. But over the last 7 years, it has been in the automation space. I had the opportunity to be a practitioner and work very closely in setting up a center of excellences for ANZ Bank and also for Society General. This is Australian and the European Bank, respectively. And then I took a plunge and came on this side of the table to see to work in the product space and provide the practitioner's view. So here I am, and let's start with the presentation. While we are doing so, we'll highly encourage you all to also post as many questions as you can, because in the third section we'll take those one, and I would like to make it as interactive as possible. Now, we all know that, and it's been, and we are living it right now. COVID has changed the way we live and the way we're going to live. It has disrupted every aspect of our life. It is an unprecedented situation. Many times people speak about 2000 financial crisis, but it's not the same. 2008 financial crisis was more financial, but again, no health concerns were there. But here, our health is a primary concern, which is resulting to the financial implications as well. So organizations are finding their own ways to deal with this situation. They have got to ensure that there is a business. They have to maintain this delicate balance of making sure that lights are on. At the same time, they take care of their well-being of their staff as well. There is economic impact. At the same time, they have to ensure that there is not much humanitarian impact and trying to find that middle ground where they can walk, right? And the same thing is happening with our customers as well. We in Automation Anywhere, we are ourselves finding new ways of working and responding to this situation. There's no perfect answer, there's no perfect solution, but to ensure that we are able to respond to our customers' need, we are continuously thinking. We have set up forums, we've set up some tiger teams to to deal with this situation. At the same time, we are also reaching out to all our customers, because we know that we know that in some way or form, with our technology, we'll be able to make a huge, if not huge, a more relevant difference in the situation we are in. And when we reached out to our customer, we found 4 major things which are on their top of their mind. They told us that while they are working remotely in a distributed work form, everyone is working from their home. Now, while the lockdown is ending and people are coming back to work, it is actually a little bit more disruptive. What they're suggesting is the 4 things which is on top of their mind, and this is common across various industry leaders, agnostic to the industries, right? Be pharma, be BFSI, be manufacturing, oil and gas, so on and so forth. They said they want their work to remain resilient, which means that they want to ensure tomorrow, if there's any political disturbance, natural calamity, and God forbid, if there's any another pandemic which may take place or second wave may come through, they want the business to become resilient. While it's resilient, they do not want to compromise on productivity. The work must go on and with a high productivity, so they're able to respond to the new demands which are coming through, and also able to manage the existing work which is already there. As we all know that we are working from home, there is a lot of concerns around cybersecurity and data. How do they ensure that the the data which is being sent across the residential ISPs are secure? The person who is working from home is taking all the precautionary measures to ensure the data doesn't get leaked or does not get corrupted. And fourth most important thing is well-being, well-being of their own staff, well-being of their customer, and most importantly, well-being of the customer's customer, right? So, for example, let's take example of airline industry. A few of our customers who are from the airline industry, they reached out to us saying that they need help in terms of responding to their customers' need. Now, I believe all of us have gone through that when the lockdown was announced. We had our plans, trips organized. I had applied for a week holiday, and because my daughter's school were shutting down at that time, and we thought we'll go on leave and go someplace like Goa, right? So, anyways, we had to call the airline to make the cancellations, but the experience was bad. It took some 45 minutes on a call, and in spite of that, I was unable to get any results out of that. So such experiences has been faced as a customer, and so organizations reached out to us. We were able to create some solutions for them where the RPA bots were used to issue the credit voucher and to make changes within the applications so that the staff, the agents are able to deal with more complex query and not the mundane activities, or the common activities which they anticipate of cancellation or rescheduling of the flight. So talking with the customers, we said that, okay, we know that we have the lever of intelligent automation. Do we have all the solutions in the world? No, but we know that our product can help you in some way or the form. The intelligent automation which is available can help you in real-time analysis and data gathering, in scaling your organizational capabilities and so on and so forth. So how can we help you? How can we come together and help you in any way or form? So put your hand up, and we will try to find a solution for you. And I'll take you through in my presentation how we were able to do that and how we are doing it with help of automation, right? Before I do that, a quick introduction about the company. See, 16-year-old company started in a small town, Baroda in Gujarat. Now it's a $7 billion company. The head office has moved to San Jose. It started by 3 Gujaratis. We've got more than 3,000 enterprise customers. We've got 1,100 partners, total workforce of 3,500 people. We've got 90 operations in 90 countries, and we are in the top quadrant of all the analyst reports, right? But the most important part for me in this particular slide is this 1.7 million digital worker, and that's our true strength, right? This is where our technology comes together to create that particular strength and augment the capacity of human workforce. And I will explain you what digital worker means and how we are able to support the customer's request. So when we start any automation journey, right? And Arun did cover that in his point as well, in his presentation as well. What we have seen is when you are at the starting line or you have just started your automation journey, it's all about finding simple use cases, low-hanging fruits, the activities which are pain points, which you can quickly automate and show some runs on the boards, get your own confidence going, plus also get confidence from your sponsor who's standing behind you on this new technology, right? And that's the way to be, right? When you're starting your journey, don't look at boiling the ocean. Don't go for something which is very complex. And I have seen many organizations looking for opportunities which are more exception driven, right? Because that's where the problem area is, that takes the maximum time. And the idea is that's where you require human intervention. But if you can create a way of building a bot which can take care of the the routine activities so that humans can work on those complex scenarios, because that's where the human should be used and not data crunching and data activity, right? So this is just a generic landscape, right? It basically talks about the processes which needs to get automated in and certain steps within the processes when you're about to start your journey. Having said that, as you move deeper into the automation journey, and we will get to know from polling questions, in the third, fourth section, where you are. But if, say, for example, you're at the start of your automation journey, it would be that you're looking at more of productivity gain. And the previous slide, which I spoke about, you will start looking at some early wins and some processes to get automated rapidly. Having said that, as you move deeper, as you basically start working on more more complex scenarios, you will see that you would want to work to provide solution to your customers. And that's what I said in the opening sentence as well, that in a COVID situation, we are trying to work with our customers to help them to solve a problem. And the same thing applies here as well. As you go into your automation journey, keep customer at the center. And it could be your stakeholders at the center. It could be your internal stakeholder, or it could be your customer who you're trying to basically provide better customer experience. If you keep them in the center, you will find more use cases on its own, and the building of bots will become a consequence of it. So for example, how can I do more with less? How can I provide better customer experience? Like I gave you an example of issuing, the scheduling of the flights or issuing the credit voucher. If I'm able to get that in the first call within 5 minutes, I have a really good customer experience, and I'll feel empathy towards the airline industry because it's struggling big time, right? Whereas if it takes 45 minutes and I have to make the call 3 times, while I know that they are struggling, I have no empathy, right? So this is where I think it's important that you start looking at how do I solve the problem. If I can take another example, we all know that the RBI basically made a statement with the help of the government of India to waive home loans for 3 months. Now, for that, you need to opt in. And opting in for that particular option is not an easy technique or an easy method for the bank, because as customer, they will send an email or any bank's emails available, right? And what one of our customer had 15 different types of emails on which the customer had sent saying that, yeah, they would like to opt in for this particular waiver. As you can appreciate, since it was announced till the debit date, there are a lot of activity which needs to be done. You have to ensure that all the emails are scanned and we identify which emails have requested for an opt-in. We got to make sure that treatments are reconfigured so that the reminders don't go out. You got to ensure that there is no direct debit taking place on the date of debit date, and also making sure that when the debit is not happening, there is no change in their credit rating. So all of those steps have to be done within a short period of time. You can't, and as you would appreciate, you can't put an army of people to go through it. Hence the bots were utilized to basically to do that. Hence the solution was provided, right? I've covered a few of these points, so I will just skip through this slide in the interest of time. So one thing, and how do we do this, right? Now, this situation is, the way we basically define is relevant pre-COVID and post-COVID. We all know that any industry for that matter have got major, or any work you do from top down, if I have to say helicopter view, has got three major components to it. It's got doing the activity where you roll up your sleeves and you actually do the job. Could be dragging, dropping, could be looking at the attachment and keying some details in, or it could be thinking, right? Basically looking at certain piece of information and trying to make a decision out of it, or it could be analyzing once the work has been done, right? So this is actually the three parts of do, think, and analyze. And then we drink coffee, we go on smoke breaks in the pre-COVID world and things like that. Maybe in today's world, you might be mopping, you might be washing the vessels. I'm doing that, or changing, changing clothes for your kids and things like that. So it could be either or. So what we said, okay, how do we help the human workforce? And recent study has been that humans are working 3 hours more every day since they've been locked in the house. And it's been far more busier for them because there's housework, there's homework of their kids, plus also the office work, right? So how do we create that capacity that they're able to focus on what's important at work and also what's important in their life? And we said anything which we have to do, we can use RPA bots. Wherever you have to analyze, where you have to think something like reconciling two documents, reading an email, getting some extract out of it, you can use IQ bots. And bot insights is more to do analysis, which means you have to think. Once an activity has been done, you can basically measure and monitor the performance of that bots. So that's what the digital workforce and that 1.7 million, which I spoke about, is important, because that's the concept we use in our intelligent automation platform, and that's where we bring our solution. If I go a little bit more deeper, quickly, it's for RP, as I spoke about, you do it two ways: attended and unattended automation. Unattended automation is all about executing the bots remotely on the server, in cloud, in your VDI, where it could be trigger based, it could be event based, or it could be schedule based, right? You can run some processes overnight. So when the staff logs in the morning, part of the manual activity is already completed and they are able to move on with the more important aspect. Attended automation is about working with the SME or end user by sharing the same workspace. For example, an agent may receive a call from a customer, and what's happening now in the COVID scenario is that while the call volumes have gone up, so has the breadth of the type of calls which is coming through, which means it's not the standard calls which they used to get. So how do we help the agent to respond to those type of questions by taking away the manual activity which the agent has to do while on the call? It could be dragging the details from the application of that particular customer, or it could be updating some addresses and things like that. Can bot help in doing so? So what we are doing is we are collaborating. It's called human bot collaboration, collaborating with the bots, taking that manual activity, so we give more time and capacity for the humans to deal with the customer and responding to their queries. IQBots I spoke about, it's a cognitive module, and I'll quickly cover a bit more detail, but it basically deals with structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data, right? It could be invoices coming through. You want to scan these invoices, and you want to take out some specific information from it, right? And we know that invoices are of various different shapes and size. Invoice number could be on top left or bottom right of the document. How do you basically provide a cognitive module which can come, look at that particular piece of information, extract the details, put that into CSV format, or in whichever waveform once when the data is available, right? So that's very important. And bot insights I covered from the measure and monitor perspective. It gives you the utility of the bot. Like human workforce, you have KPIs and SLAs. Similar way you require KPIs and SLAs for the bots. So it gives you operational insights and business insights, which is business insight is what value the bot has provided, and operational insights the occupancy and productivity of the bot. We have bot store. It's as I said at the beginning when I introduced the company, 3,000 customers. We are for 16 years. There's a lot of learning which we have gained over the course of time, and we thought it's how do we make our customer gets benefited out of it. So we created the bot store, which is very similar to your app store. There are a lot of predefined bots available on various common applications which are used in the industry. You can download those bots, retweak it, and you can go for your own automation journey, which will help you to fast track it. Right, so that's the concept of digital worker by using, RPA, IQBots inside bot store to basically help in your automation journey. IQBots, just one more minute I will take. So many times I've been asked, what's the difference between OCR and IQBots? And it's quite apparent. OCR is basically used to basically scan the document and get the extract, whereas bots, IQBot has got its own OCR engine, plus it's compatible with industry gate OCR solutions available, be it Abby, be it Modi, be it Tesseract. And IQBot will pre-process the document before scanning and extracting it, which is it will clear the noise. It will make sure that the scanning which is queued is taken care of. It will take away all those dirt off, so it becomes clear to extract, which increases the accuracy. Then that's where the OCR engine comes into picture. It will read, it will extract, followed by ML model, which is designed within IQBot, which is its proprietary, where it will learn, it will retain, and it will reapply next time a similar set of document is presented. If there is a new requirement, there's human in loop. The design is quite intuitive for human to retrain or continuously train the IQBot so that next time any similar documents are presented, it can basically extract it. We also have the capability of injecting ML models. One of our customers right now in COVID situation reached out to us saying that for the well-being perspective, which I covered in the past, that the customers, they wanted to know if staff is going through any duress, how do you identify the emails which have been sent to the HR team? So we used IQBots to basically extract the text. We used ML model on NLG algorithm to basically understand what the mood of that email is. It was put into various different boxes or the folders, and when this HR staff came in next morning, they focused more on that particular folder where it had their staff and more who required more care, right? And more time was spent on that rather than going through the emails and trying to figure out and responding and things like that. Whereas the other stock standard emails that, okay, it could be my leave balance or whatever, that is all automated by using RPA bots. So just quickly, the important slide from Automation Anywhere perspective, this is the entire tech stack on one page. At the center of the slide, I've already covered the digital workforce, which is RPA, attended, unattended AI analytics. We've got productivity packs, which basically helps to fast track your automation, which means we've got Office 365 productivity pack. You can launch the bots from your Excel itself, or it could be from Salesforce or G Suite application, Google. Bot Store, I spoke about that, various different ubiquitous applications which are used based on our learning. We have made pre-configured bots. You can download, tweak it a bit, and start using it. We've got process discovery. So right from the identification of the opportunity, we have a process discovery module which is getting released in June. It will help you to identify the right process to automate, and then it can be taken there from building the process. And then in month of August, we are coming with the next version where not only it will help you to identify the process, but it will seamlessly will also build the bot because it is integrated with the enterprise architecture of Automation Anywhere platform. So right from the discovery to the deployment will be a seamless process, and that will help you to fast track your automation journey. Having said that, certainly you will require developers because many times you will have to build complex coding into it to add some conditions and things like that. But it will help to democratize and give more opportunity for both developers and the SMEs to work on more complex scenarios. On the right is the way we basically deliver the solution. Many CIOs have reached out to us and they said, can you please take away the capex component, or the procurement of servers and all of that is taking time. How can you help us to fast track the automation journey now in COVID situation, because they understand the need for automation. And that's where we said we've got SaaS available, which is Smart Automation as a Service. We bring our own cloud and you can use that, so you don't have to worry about the servers. You can reduce your TCO. But at the same time, if you have got your private cloud, we can install on that, so it's hybrid or on your server as well. Mobile application is available for you to remotely monitor your bot, so it becomes automation anywhere, anytime. Plus, we appreciate that any organization will have their existing some of the third-party solutions, so we work very closely with them and to provide the seamless integration. And as I said, when I give an example of email, that many organizations already have their data science and data engineering team. Any ML models which they have designed could be injected in the automation Anywhere space. I'll just take a couple of minutes. I need to give 10 more minutes for some time for Q&A. So Kshitij, let me know when is the hard stop. Feel free to interject. One thing from the customer's perspective, how do we respond? We decided to break the customer segments into 3 buckets: readiness, readiness in terms of to be efficient, to survive, and to save. We know that the industry which is to be efficient are in a perfect storm, like pharma, healthcare, where the volumes have gone off the roof, more complex, but the staffs are not available because of the lockdown. Survive, I gave example of airline and hospitality industry, what sort of challenges they are facing and how we are helping them. And bank, I gave example of banking as well, where customers have opted in for home loan waivers and monthly installment waivers, and how automation was there to help them. I'll just take one more example, and this is a really good one in terms of healthcare. National Health Services, which is the 5th largest employer in the world in the UK, which is based out of UK, reached out to us to get some help, where World Health Organization has requested them to provide details of every individual who is coming in for testing. So they were getting around 25,000 forms a day, and 95 FTEs were basically involved in getting the extract from these 2 documents, and they're 8-page documents. Now, as you can appreciate, at the time of the need, we would rather have these people doing more critical work on frontline rather at behind and trying to extract the data. So we basically put a solution together for them, where the CRF form and an E28 form will extract the details using IQbots and cognitive services, and that will be extracted in the CSV form and JSON file. We make one particular file, and it basically goes through to World Health Organization database. By doing so, we were able to take away a lot of manual work from NHS, and the time was given to them, which is of the essence, to work in the more critical area. Excuse me. Last example, see, as we know that, and in India also we are going through, see, we are in lockdown 4.0. People are coming back to work. We are very wary, a lot of organizations are quite wary in terms of, okay, how do we ensure that the person who is coming in is not impacted, and we do not want to create that sort of a panic within the organization. Similarly, one of our customers in China had the same challenge, but that was last month because they were ahead in terms of getting back to normal. And so they helped us to create a staff tracking dashboard where the data was pulled out of various different sources of the particular staff, where travel history, transportation documents, and the sorts. So that was extracted. We used IQBot to basically scan and get the relevant information out of there. Put ML models, applied risk, and this ML model was more of a risk calculator that was injected in IQBot. And then a risk rating calculator was defined, and each staff was rated based on which it was decided whether they can come back to work or not. And it is being used very heavily now. It's being used in Australia as well because they're ahead in terms of getting back to the normal, so on and so forth. So the idea is that we have the lever available from AI perspective, from digital worker perspective. We want to help the community, want to ensure that we are all in this thing together, how we can come together and solve this problem. So there's just a site in terms of how you can start your journey. And I would highly encourage you to basically go on our website and look for those details. So thank you for that. On that, Kshitij, I'll get back to you.
Thanks so much for the presentation. So I guess we already exceeded by 5 minutes. So thanks for the patience, everyone. Right, so we'll just go quickly to the Q&A. And before going, I'll just run the one last poll questions to everyone, right? And parallelly, I'll start with the Q&A session also. So there's one question, I guess, Sumit, you might want to take that, right? So what kind of service model do you have? Do you have pay as you use?
So, okay, pay as you go. You can start your journey with that. You can start your journey with that. Having said that, when you're basically looking at scaling, so we got various different options, just to be clear, right? We have got starter packs available to basically start your journey. You may not want to invest quite deep earlier in the piece, so you can use that as well. And then there are various options in terms of if you want to scale from there, how we can help to craft your the service, the model rather. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. So there's one more question. What is the typical timeline for an RP implementation?
That's a very interesting question. Very, and I think I will also bring in Arun as well, because he comes from the. We both are deploying bots. I have deployed bots, and he is deploying bots. So RPA. So it depends on the complexity of the use case. Basically, you identify. What we have seen, or when I was a practitioner, I had divided that into three buckets of simple, medium, and complex bots. Simple bots basically have taken anywhere from a week, from week to say maximum 2 weeks. Medium had taken 2 to 3 weeks, and the complex have taken around 4 weeks. Anything which goes beyond that was further broken down into simple, medium, complex bots. So there are ways to define these bots. There's some science behind it based on the experience on what steps are there, how many conditions are there, and there's a metrics. Based on that metrics, you can actually calculate the complexity and come up with a rating.
Absolutely, Sumit. Arun here. So I touched upon this point during my presentation. So there is a way you can analyze the complexity of each of the process, and there are several parameters like number of transactions, number of steps, and several. So based on that we categorize, and based on that some rightly mentioned that based on the simple, medium, complex, and high complex we have weeks, but typically 2 to 3 weeks for simple and
Sure.
beyond that and very high.
So I will encourage the audience to put in questions in the Q&A or chat window, right? So what I do, as we promised at the beginning of the sessions, the polls that we're conducting, will just quickly show you the results and tell the panelists to just briefly give their initial responses, right? How does that feel, right? So let me see. Oh, I guess that's not there. So There's one more question that has come up right now. I guess let's first engage that. Can a software bot work in tandem with a human worker?
Yes, and that's the example I gave, and I hope I'll take that question, Kshitij, and then Arun, you can jump in. Yes, we call it human bot collaboration. I gave an example of attended bot, so it certainly works in tandem. It basically helps to take away the manual activity of the humans. So as I gave example, when a human is a call agent trying to engage with the customer, it can take help of that particular bot to get the details or do some activities on behalf of the agent, while the agent is deep in conversation with the customer to provide the appropriate answer. Certainly, it is possible, and we have that solution available.
Arun here. Just to add to it, not only is the concept of attended automation applicable here, so wherein a customer service agent can use a bot to extract, say, some queries, just save some time on responding to the customer. But you also have a concept in automation wherein via emails, you could actually have the bot trigger emails. You could read it just like a normal email on your inbox. You can respond to that. The bot will fetch information out of it. So it acts as human in the loop. So in cases wherein you have need for, say, an approval, right, you want to you don't want to keep that open, and therein you can add supervisors to the loop and more human workers. So that is another way you could interact with
Yeah,
the bot.
that's a good point, Arun, because many times, for example, you're going through an email and it's a standard response is required for that email. So instead of you typing it, you can put that into a folder that will trigger a bot, and then bot can basically send the email on your behalf. So you don't have to worry about looking and drafting an email of the sorts, right? So that's where human and bots can come together to fast track the work.
Okay. Arun, just again a request when you're answering, just be close to the mic. I guess that's again a response that comes from one of the teammates. So there's one more question that has come up. Can we get clarity on licensing implication of deploying RPA on top of other application processes? Example, SAP, Oracle, etc.
So is the question that
I'll repeat the question, right?
no, no. So I got the question. I'm just trying to decipher that question that uh, do they have to buy a separate license for SAP to run the bots? Is that the question?
So it's more on can we have RPA as a SaaS offering, right? And can it be deployed on top of other applications, more of SaaS, SAP and Oracle? That's what.
Yes. See, RPA itself is a non-invasive technology, right? It can interact and connect with these applications on the screen, right? That's one way of doing it. Or if the API is exposed, it can basically take can connect with through API and can continue with the workflow. So both the options are available and you can utilize them.
I hope that answers the question. So I guess we are running short of time, so I'll just take one last question, and I guess we'll should wrap the session, right?
There's
So
one question, Satish, can we have RPAS offering? I think I spoke about this. Yes, RPAS, or we call it SaaS, either or RPA as a service or smart automation as a service. It's both available. I think when we bring the cloud, we bring our infrastructure. We basically take away that particular cost from you. So that's one of the ways of basically providing. But if you are looking at in terms of consumption-based modeling and things like that, yes, certainly we do that as well. So you can reach out to us for more information.
okay. So there's one more question that has come up. What are some challenges in implementing RPA and how to overcome them?
Arun, you want to get a shot?
Sure, sure. So a couple of things here,
Arun,
Kshitij.
just be closer to the mic, please, Arun. Sorry.
Yes. So a couple of things here, Kshitij. So first and foremost, I would like to mention the need to involve the right stakeholders from the very beginning. So the idea of RPA, the idea of automation, needs to be very clearly, evangelized within your team, within the SMEs and the core group, right? So in order to not get into an expectation mismatch later. And we also need to make sure that RPA implementations are done with a clear focus. So you have an idea of the kind of ROI that you're going to get out of it, and that's where the analyze and the assess phase is so very important. And we also need to make sure that RPA we leave we leave room for the upgrades to AI or cognitive. So we need to build our programs in such a way so that it leaves room for more intelligent capabilities. Yeah.
So I guess that's it. So I guess we should wrap up the session. So I guess I'll just thank you, Arun, Sumit, and Sangamitra for joining session, right? So, so I guess there's one more question has come up, right? So let's address. Then we'll sign it off. Have you taken care of indirect access issue from SAP? So, Sumit, do you want to answer that? Yeah. Sumit, you're on mute, I guess.
Apologies for that. Sorry, sorry for I said I don't have a technical answer for that one, but if you can provide the details of the individual, we can reach out to the person.
Sure, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So I guess let's wrap up the session. Thank you everyone for joining. Right? Thanks Arun, thanks Sumit, thanks Sangamitra. So
Thank you
we'll
for that.
stay in touch. Sure. Thanks everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.